let Carl take care of a roll call, and then we'll get into our guest presentation.
Very good. Thanks, Chief Metz. So I've got you. Chief Reed, I see you. Chief Adams, I saw you sign on. Rick Boisford, did I miss you? Chief Buxton.
Yes,
Tim
sir.
Towle. I'm sorry, did I step on someone?
Nope, just letting you know I was here.
Gotcha, Chief. Thank you. Chief Cowan. Fire Marshal Desrochers will not be joining us today, Chief Metz. He had a quick meeting come up that he couldn't get around, so.
Not a problem.
Tim Diehl, I saw you. Chief Krzinski.
I am here.
Hello there.
Hello.
Chief King. Kelly, I've got you. Fire Marshal Porter, I've got you. Steve Swarthout, I've got you. Mark Wassom, Chief Wassom, I've got you. And Gary West, I see you. Also, past President Bryant, I believe you know won't be on due to the board meeting as well. So that looks like a quorum to me. Back to you, Chief Metz.
Very good. Thank you, Carl. Well, I'm going to invite Gary West, resident Nfsa expert and representative from NASPM, to do the introduction of our speaker this morning. So, Gary, you want to give us an intro?
Yes, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you building me up with such a kind introduction. I'll try to do the same thing to Michael Joanis here. Mike is the Director of Contractor Services for Nfsa and is part of the leadership with the technical team. He's very active in the things going on with Nfsa with codes and technical services. He's also a former fire sprinkler contractor, which is of huge benefit when you're dealing with contractor services. But most of all, Mike is a former fire service member and served in a fire department prior to all of this. He's a professional engineer, and he is here today to talk about our technical services. Take it off there, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, folks, for having me. I'm going to just give you guys a quick overview of the Nfsa technical services. So I will see if I can share my screen here. You should be able to see that PowerPoint. Are we good with the PowerPoint? Somebody shout it out. I hope so.
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you. So we'll just take a quick look at the National Fire Sprinkler Association technical services. Obviously, these are things for both our members and non-members that we provide on the technical side of the house to help with promoting our mission, which is, the widespread acceptance of this fire sprinkler concept. So everything we do on the technical side goes to that mission, just like we do throughout the organization. So we'll take a quick look at the team, some of those technical services, an overview of the services we provide, talk a little bit about the expert of the day, and I'll try to jump into our website here at the end and show you guys some opportunities to get to some of these technical resources. So this shouldn't take very long to run through. Already introduced me, thank you very much. Came from the fire service, University of Maryland, fire protection engineer, been doing this for quite some time. But some of the stuff that's exciting here at Nfsa for me is I've gotten the opportunity to be part of the NFPA 13 discharge and hanging and bracing, NFPA 20 for fire pumps, and a couple others there. A little bit of focus on buildings under construction and renovation and the large wood frame building fires we've been having. 241 was actually a heavy lift with Nfsa over the last year with ENS, our Engineering and Standards Committee, and a technical task group that we worked with 241 on quite a few changes for the 2022 edition that's coming. And that's about the story. So the good news about the team, the technical team at Nfsa, It's engineering, code standards, and public fire protection and training, building officials, fire official, inspection, testing, and maintenance contractor. We have another fire protection engineer and then a couple training folks. So that kind of makes up our team, the 2 fire protection engineers and our building and fire code officials that go through all our technical services. We did just bring on the gentleman there on the lower right-hand side, Evan, for training. Evan is an education, comes from the education world and is really helping us to go ahead and update and turn around and make virtual a lot of our training programs. So that's been a great addition to our team this year recently. So just some of the highlights quickly, and this one always catches people. So at Nfsa, we have 85, I think it's just over 85 staff and our members that sit on over 250 technical committees. That includes both Nfpa and the ICC, which I'm sure you folks are familiar with our involvement. So that there's a lot going on the codes and standards side. There's nothing that involves sprinkler that we don't get to touch and be part of. One of the other things that does for us is it does allow our technical staff, our staff members, to have firsthand knowledge of the codes and standards making process, so that when we come back to do our Expert of the Day programs and our training and what papers and guides and everything else, we have that firsthand knowledge of where things are and where those committee hearings went and the discussions and the concerns. So one of the things I do want to highlight is that the Nfpa annual meeting in June is coming up. It will be virtual. We're getting close to having all the information from Nfpa, most notably on 13 and Nfpa 20 for anything that will be a NIPMAM or will be discussed on the floor. So there will be a voting guide, an NFSA voting guide that comes out on the Nfpa annual meeting. So we encourage you to watch for that. That'll be our position, our Engineering and Standards Committee position on those items that will come to the floor. So that would be a good resource to watch for in the next month. Internally here at Nfsa, we have a few councils, manufacturers, contractors, and SAMS councils that the technical staff is involved in. The big one is the Engineering and Standards Committee that works very closely, mostly with the Nfpa standards. Quality assurance and inspection testing and maintenance committees, our code development and ledge reg teams, our coordination with UL Factory Mutual, and some of the task groups that are currently ongoing. We have a task group to come up with some model contractor licensing. I actually just got off a call on that. We're working towards being able to provide model contractor legislation that can be used in places that don't have sprinkler contractor licensing and can also be used to enhance jurisdictions or states that do have existing contractor licensing and may be missing some key components. We're working closely with NICET on their certification programs, pools for water supplies. Exposed PEX has become an issue in some listing concerns. In residential occupancies in basements exposed, the ongoing antifreeze, and then we're starting to get into some of that exterior sprinkler systems relative to wildfires in the urban interface. So those are just some of the highlights of those. We do as a technical services team, we do 18 plus magazine articles. You can see it here, the National Fire Sprinkler magazine. We do twice a month for our Tech Notes, which is a popular product, blogs, almost weekly blogs, and our guides. So I will get on the website and show you some of those in a second. So the one I wanted to point out first was the Expert of the Day program. I know this has been around for 15 years. Our Expert of the Day program is basically our members are capable of sending us a question, any technical question that they have. We do quite a few with the fire service that come in and ask, fire service folks that are members that ask technical questions, and it's one of our real popular technical products. So what we did with that was we actually took about 10 years of it. It went up to 2018 through 2018. And we came out with the Eod Handbook, which is over 2,000 technical questions that were asked of the Nfsa. So if you've thought of a technical question on the codes or standards relative to sprinkler, standpipe, fire pump, any of the water-based fire protection systems, there's probably a pretty good chance that it's in this handbook, and that it's when you go through that electronic index, you'll most likely be able to find some self-help there with that book. So let's see if I can get us on the website. So the nfsa.org website has a few technical items that I want to make sure you're aware of. Most importantly, to go ahead and sign in. Membership for the fire service folks is $50. So it's relatively inexpensive. If you just use the EOD program once in a year, you know, it's certainly going to pay for itself in a return on that technical help. But if you get logged in, most important thing is to get in there and make sure your profile is correct. All your contact information for you is there. The other one that's right here that I wanted to show you was the My EOD. So this is where you can actually go ahead and submit and ask an expert of the day question. It'll pop up. Come on, baby. It'll pop up a field here where you can go ahead and input the information. Obviously, the more information you give us a title, you give us the reference code or standard, your question, any background information. It allows you to upload PDFs or Word documents or any background information that you want to provide to us. And that is where you would go to ask an expert of the day question. One of the other ones that's really good here is this Get Involved tab. And there's actually an article search here. So if you see, you can go ahead and hit the tech notes. Our tech notes come out twice a month, and they include a lot of technical information. And as you can see through this list here, about every other one of them is what we call the best of, like the best of March. And that would be our best EOD questions from that previous month. But what's another one here is this article search. So you can actually get in here and pick a topic and go ahead and search seismic, let's say, and it's going to give you the magazine articles, the engineering, the tech notes articles, and it's going to give you a whole summary of stuff on that particular topic. So there's a lot of technical self-help there when you go looking for something that is piquing your interest that day, or you have a concern. That's a great resource to go see if you can find what it is that you're looking for. The national magazine is there as well, so you can go back and take a look at any of the previous articles in the magazine. The last one here I wanted to show you was the store. The store is a good place to grab some of the training. A lot of our training has gone online. One of the most popular products you can sort for is the Tech Tuesdays, which is once a month for an hour at 10:30 on Tuesdays. It does include continuing education credit, and you can see some of the topics that are coming up for that. So that's a popular product, but you can sort through any of the other training products that we have here. If you go to your online training portal, you'll start to see any of the courses that you've downloaded and that you've registered for will all be there. So let's see if I can get out of this. Another one the last one I'll give you here that's kind of interesting is that Nfsa, as part of our mission, includes research. And we do a lot with research, with working with UL and FM and the NFPA's Fire Protection Research Foundation. But in the recent history, we really haven't done too much of our own research. So we're going to try to get off. I say to Shane, I'm getting off of zero this year, and we're going to do some research. So coming up at the end of next week, we are actually going to Pleasant View, Tennessee. That is where Shane and Gary are from, a little bit northwest of Nashville. And we're working with the Pleasant View Fire Department to do four burns for our research. The two of the ones that we're going to do is using exposed wood I-joists in a partially finished and partially sprinklered basement. So the way things stand now with the exposed I-joists, the proposal is you're going to cover them with drywall, or you can have sprinkler. And our concern is when you have that basement with partially finished and partially unfinished, where someone may choose to sheetrock the finished space and partially sprinkler the non-finished space with the exposed I-joists. Obviously, we have some concerns with the use of partial sprinkler protection. You know, we all know that the intent is to get the sprinkler, you know, right where the fire starts, get it in the incipient stage, and you know, we can only do that if we have sprinklers throughout the building, or in this case, in the house. So we'll be doing 2 burns with those I-joists and some partial sprinkler protection. The other one that's come up on the technical side for us is that NFPA 25 permits existing standard response sprinklers when they reach 50 years old. It asks that they get tested, a sample be taken out, and they get tested. And the standard there is looking for those older 50-year-old sprinklers to meet a standard response RTI, or response time index, of less than 350. And we know our systems that are coming up to being 50 years old, back from the 70s and getting into the 80s, we started using fire protection systems for a lot of life safety, occupancies. We started seeing hospitals, nursing homes, hotels, motels. We started seeing that birth of life safety with our fire protection systems. And very shortly thereafter, we started doing quick response or residential sprinklers with RTIs less than 50. So the concern there is leaving these older standard response sprinklers in life safety, light hazard, life safety occupancies, and allowing them to stay at that increased response time index. And this is intended to show the difference between, our modern day quick response residential sprinklers and these older legacy standard response sprinklers. The last one we're going to do is we actually have about a 5-car detached garage behind one of these houses. Almost looks like a small service garage. And we're going to actually sprinkler that garage, and we're going to impair the sprinkler system. We're going to shut the water supply off as if that system was impaired. And we're going to let that go for about 10 minutes or whatever right around the average fire department response time for the country. And we're going to go ahead and put that sprinkler. So we're going to have the fire department go ahead and put that sprinkler system back in service, even knowing that the fire has gotten a 10 plus minute head start. And we're going to do that by pumping the fire department connections after the response time of the fire department. So we're looking to try to show some of the benefits of, that 13E kind of mentality, and working in buildings that have sprinkler systems, and getting sprinkler systems in service if they're out of service or they're impaired during a fire event. We get nervous when we see buildings like the nursing home in New York, where there's some question as to whether or not, they attempted to pump the fire department connections during that event, knowing that there was a good chance that the sprinkler system was impaired. So that's going to get us going this year. We're going to definitely present those results. The last slide here is for our annual Expo, which is happening live in October at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. We do plan to have both an in-person and a virtual option. And we're going to have our top layout technician competition this year as well. So it's something to keep in mind if you have an opportunity, if you're itching to get back out. This will be happening October 5th through the 7th. So that kind of highlights what I had for you with a short presentation. So is there anything I can offer folks? Any questions, comments? I do encourage you to have your staff. It's short money for $50. Hopefully you'll find some technical resources that make that worth your while. So I'm always here, Joanis at nfsa.org. Any questions, comments, concerns, more than happy to work with you on them.
Thank you very much, Mike. We really appreciate NFSA doing an overview for us. We look forward to having you guys back in the future, and we appreciate and thank you for your support, and especially thanking Gary West for always keeping us up to date on what's going on with NFSA and the Fire Service Membership Council. So have a wonderful day, and if we have any questions, we'll push them your way.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. And thank you, Gary, for setting that up. Moving on to item number 3 on our agenda, opening remarks from the chair. That would be me. I hope you all are going to be fully invested next week in fire code hearings starting on Friday. It's going to be a long 6 days, and I'm sure that Kelly spent, about 4 days, Kelly, on fire safety for IBC. The process is grueling when you do this in a virtual world, much different than what we're used to in person. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch any of the code hearings on the IBC side, jump on, see how this process works. If you're looking to provide testimony at all, give it a whirl on the page on the different rooms, Zoom rooms and breakout rooms on how this process is going to work. It is very different than anything we've ever done before, but it is working. It's just working a little slower than we're used to. There are going to be a couple key provisions that we'll be following as a fire service. There's always one new topic that we have not addressed before. This year, we're going to be jumping deep into the valet trash issue again. This was an issue that was at the 2018 code hearings. It was disapproved there. It has come back full force. There are 3 different code proposals for valet trash, F6, F236, and F237. That FCAC is very invested in. The California Fire Chiefs proposed F6, and then the valet trash industry proposed F237. I liken this much to the way mobile fueling was addressed when it first was proposed into the fire code, and the fire service got deeply involved in that. It's going to be interesting to see how valet trash progresses. There's nothing in the code that expressly prohibits it, but there's nothing in the code that expressly allows it either. And that's what we're trying to address, is what type of regulatory oversight there should be for the valet trash industry. And for those of you that are wondering, what is valet trash? That is a service where you take your trash, mainly in apartment buildings. A lot of them are high-end apartments, some commercial building occupancies, and you put it outside your door. Could be in a protected corridor, could be in an open breezeway, and somebody else comes along and collects your trash for you and then actually takes it to a dumpster or a disposal site. It's been going on for probably 30 years in some jurisdictions. It's going on in jurisdictions and
Randy, I think somebody hit the mute all button. You'll have to unmute yourself again.
Is that better?
You are back.
Okay. It's an industry that the fire service has taken an interest in trying to establish some clear regulations. So the FCAC is actually proposing a new appendix on, if you choose to allow this, on how you would regulate it. The California Fire Chiefs have put in a proposal that would flat out ban the practice of valet trash unless approved by the local fire official. And then we believe that those two could go hand in hand. So if a fire official chooses to approve it, then there's an appendix with some steps and a regulatory process on how you would allow that. So keep an eye on that. There are far more. The fire code has more code change proposals than any of the other codes that have been heard this cycle. So we believe that it's going to take every minute of the 6 days that the committee will be there in session. It will be some very long nights, I'm sure. For those of you that were watching egress and fire safety, there were nights where they went until 10:30 at night in order to get all of the code change proposals in time to make the committee switches. But luckily, we only do this once every 3 years on fire code. And I will be participating as a member of the Fire Code Development Committee, as well as a great team of fire service individuals. Some people that have had past experiences with the Fire Service Membership Council will also be on the committee there, and some of our speakers that we previously had as well. So I look forward to serving the membership that way. But with that, I'll keep my comments brief at that. We'll jump into, let's see, additions or corrections to the agenda. Do I have any additions or corrections? And if no, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Christine Reed, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Christine. Who's the second?
Kelly seconded it.
Kelly seconded it. Okay, so motion and a second to approve our agenda. Thank you very much. We will now move into approval of minutes. Those minutes have been posted. They're available in Microsoft Teams from our March 25th meeting. And I'm looking for a motion and a second, and then we'll vote for approval. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second from Coy. Thank you. All in favor of approving our minutes from our March meeting? Say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. We're going to jump into our work group updates, starting with our member recruitment work group. Gary West and Andy King, are you on?
Randy, it's Andy.
Hey, Andy.
I think Gary's on as well. We heard him earlier, but we did not have a meeting this month. I will pick a date in the next 2 weeks and get Carl to push that out to those that might be interested in helping out. I apologize.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, Andy. You know, we just continue to be blessed with the speakers that we've got. The idea of bringing in speakers is definitely increasing our participation. That was an idea that Andy had out of the membership development and recruitment work group right there. It's working well, so we want to continue that, and we'll have some more discussion on where that's going to preside in a few minutes here. So thank you, Andy. Emerging issues and trends. I know they did have a meeting. I know that Mike Desrochers is not going to be able to be here, but Tim Diehl is going to be reporting for us. So Tim.
Yes, thank you, Randy. We had our meeting yesterday afternoon, a good participated crowd. We did have 2 new subjects come online, which basically robotic storage systems that Carl just put up, as well as indoor fire pits. Both of these we'll be discussing in further for action notes. They will go into the index that we have currently going, and we encourage everybody else to submit these ideas. I think this is a great time to do it, and we're getting more discussion points. So we are in the process of determining a regular monthly meeting, what that date will be, and Mike will push that out for everyone when we determine it. And that's what I have to report.
Thank you, Tim. I believe that we're also working with Mike Desrochers' group on, he's looking at bringing an emerging trends class for the upcoming APM in Pittsburgh. So we're looking forward to seeing what their work group comes up with. Public awareness, Christine Reed.
Hi, everyone. So the, excuse me, public awareness work group met earlier this month. A couple of items that came out of it. One, we had a great turnaround from ICC marketing. Thank you very much for the close your door PSA quick hit. That is complete. So now we have 3 documents that we're going to be pushing out to everybody for distribution. We're also going to be doing a wide scale distribution to a lot of different of our partner groups and associations. So thank you, Carl. So that's the latest that we did as a reminder and reiteration of what UL's program is and the benefit to just closing your door. So we want to get that out. The production of these as we're doing them are a lot quicker now that we have the template established. So we're really excited to keep moving these things forward. The other thing that we discussed, the work group's currently working on the daily tweets for Building Safety Month starting next month. So we're working on those tweets as we speak, and Carl will get those to you early mid next week so that you can forward it to get ready for May 1st. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Christine. And finally, training and education. And I'd like to introduce our new work group committee lead, Mr. Mark Wassom has accepted that. Kara Grzinski, after doing this position for over 2 years, is turning the reins over to Mark, and Mark has graciously accepted and is looking for people to work with him and continue to support this effort. So, Mark, thank you very much for taking this on, and I don't expect a huge report from you yet, so don't worry about that. But anything you want to say and add right now?
Sure, just a couple of quick comments, and thanks for the introduction, Chief. We've been working on a few things. I think the primary focus right now is we're working on some educational opportunities for the Nfsa conference coming up later this year. So nice to hear from those folks today, and we look forward to helping them out with their conference a little later this year. We're waiting on some decisions on what the ABM is going to look like this fall, and once we hear some of those things, we'll be pushing forward with preparing and coordinating some educational opportunities for that. And I think the last thing I'll mention is normally we meet on the first Wednesday of each month. However, I just noticed that I'm not available for that day, so we'll figure out a revised meeting date. We'll get that information out to everybody. But as you said, Randy, always interested in hearing from those that would like to work with us on training and education and moving a lot of good stuff forward. So please reach out to us if you want to join in, and that includes members of the governing committee and just interested parties. So please feel free to reach out to us, and looking forward to continuing to do some good work there. That's all I got, Chief.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for your service. Mark got some good airtime on his ICC committee, and I'm sure that he's got some stories to tell about that experience, just like Kelly does.
I'm glad to have it behind me. So good luck
Yes.
to you guys next week.
Yeah, I've been watching you both, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a doozy right here. So,
yep.
Let's see here. Moving on. Reports from officers. We're going to start off with our report from board members, and unfortunately, because our meeting is going on at the same time as the ICC board meeting right now, we're not going to have anybody reporting on behalf of the board. Bill Bryant, we've had a lot of discussion with. He's serving as a moderator back at code hearings, and will continue on through the end of code hearings on May 5th. And we look forward to having him join us at our May meeting. Let's see here. Report from the chair. I don't have anything additionally to report since I did my opening remarks at the beginning. I'll let Christine report on what we're doing with the rest of the membership councils related to Building Safety Month and promoting membership councils. So, Christine.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Randy. So a couple of items I have. First, is the membership councils next month for Building Safety Month are having a live event. And it's just that called Meet the ICC Membership Councils. It's on May 14th, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's an opportunity for all of the membership councils to talk to the membership, to talk to anyone that's in attendance, to inform them about what each membership council does and how we work together and so forth. So please pass that on. There is a flyer that's out. Carl, I don't know how far reaching that flyer has gotten yet, but again, it's May 14th, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I'm sure that will be advertised on the ICC website. It is a free event that you need to register for, so be on the lookout for those. Help support the membership councils, and Randy and I will be speaking in representing the Fire Service Membership Council, so we're looking forward to that, to be able to promote all the great work that everyone's doing here. The other item that I had was the Fire Service Membership Council has been asked to participate in collaboration with the Building Membership Council in part of the restructuring or updating of the Innovation and Code Administration Award process. They've kind of broken up the update of this process, and one of the things is the metrics on how applications are being evaluated, to make sure that everyone is taking a standardized approach to grading criteria. So I'm putting out a solicitation to the Fire Service Membership Council Governing Committee members. We're looking for 2 people to volunteer a little bit of time to work with 2 of the Building Membership Council representatives to work on this grading criteria. And I think it's just more of trying to, again, get standardized so people don't have their own individual grading criteria. It's kind of across the board of what each grade means. So I'm looking for hand raises, or, hey, I'll help participate at this meeting. We need to move forward with it to be able to help that process move along. So first I'll open it up if anyone is interested. It doesn't seem to warrant a whole lot of time, I don't believe. I spoke with Audrey Klein from Building Membership Council, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a heavy lift. But it does take some input from our governing committee members. So is anyone interested that can say at this stage that they are willing to help out?
Christine, this is Tim Diehl. I was on it last year and we started this, and I'd be more than willing to continue on that path.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. That's 1. Do I have a second? Don't be shy.
This is a great opportunity for somebody who isn't a part of the main committee, who want to get involved on something that will only take up a little bit of your time, but at the same time introduce you into the workings of the rest of the group. So this is a great segue if you're looking for further involvement.
Thanks, Kelly. I was going to offer the same thing, since Tim does represent the GR. If there's a member of the FSMC membership that wants to do this, we'd be more than happy to put you into that role. Okay, hearing none, we will find somebody else to assist him.
We will volunteer somebody.
That's right.
They need to participate. So thank you, Tim, for stepping up, and we will reach back out to those 2, Tim and the other individual, to move forward, so that I can forward the names back to Building Membership Council. So if you have any questions about what discussions I've had with Audrey Klein, please feel free to email me or call me. I'm happy to discuss. I don't have too much more information than what I already said, but like I said, I don't think it's going to be a heavy lift, but it does show it's a joint award. from the Building Membership Council and Fire Service Membership Council. So we do want to participate as a co-sponsor of this award and have some of our hand in it as well. So thank you all. And Randy, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Christine. And before I go to Carl as staff liaison, I'm going to insert somebody. I do see Ed Lazinski on the call right now and wanted to give Ed an opportunity to make any comments from the Building Membership Council.
Sure. Thanks, Carl. Randy. Let's see. I don't know if my camera's on or off, either way, but thanks everybody for giving me a chance here. Yeah, Building Membership Council, we did have a good meeting last week. I would encourage anybody, if you do get a chance, we have our meeting on YouTube. We had a great speaker from Hope Renovations last week, which is a group out of North Carolina. And they basically go through training programs for women to get them into the trades. A lot of times it's women entering a second career or things like that. So teaching them how to do, electrical, plumbing, construction, all that good stuff, and getting more women out into the field. So it was a great program. They've had a ton of success. Definitely something that could be replicated kind of throughout the country. So look for that on our YouTube channel. If you get a chance outside of that, though, and thanks, Carl, for, I think you're grabbing that there, but outside of that, we are, as Christine just went through, getting ready for Building Safety Month. We do have that event on the 14th. There's also some videos that the Sustainability Membership Council is putting together with each of the different membership councils. So look for those as well. And yeah, we got a bunch of other cool little things coming on, some local kind of toolkits for different groups if they want to put on like a career day or go into schools and talk to some of the school groups, kind of a little toolkit of here's all the information and things that you need. So we're putting that together as well, and we should have that out pretty soon. And I think that's all I got right now off the top of my head. And so yeah, thanks, Randy. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Ed. I appreciate the update there. Next, we're going to go to Carl for all of his great staff updates. Carl, what do you got for us?
That's a heck of a tee up there, Randy. I'll be brief. I already put them in the chat as well, so I think we hit the code hearings pretty hard. But just as a quick reminder, there's a link in there for more information about being able to view the code hearings if you haven't been in yet. And the IFC and the WUI code are scheduled to be heard beginning on the 30th at some point through the 5th, as Randy said. And I think the bar has been set for the Fire Code Development Committee to be able to speed up the process and efficiently get through their items. So the challenge has been laid down, and we'll see how they do. The second note that I had was we did a webinar on the American Rescue Plan recently. It was within I think it was either last week or at the end of the week before. And I put a link in for folks to be able to look at for estimating funds that your jurisdiction is going to receive and all the details around eligibility and what the plan includes. There's also a recorded copy of the webinar that's available on our website. So that's all in the chat already. And then kind of the big news is the annual conference and fall hearings are going to be held in person September 19th through the 28th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The conference is going to be September 19th through the 21st with the code hearings to follow. The event's going to be a little bit different, and some things are going to be shifted to virtual format. But the news that I got today is that membership council meetings will be held in person, although I don't actually have a date proposed for those. And I believe that also means that the joint membership council elections will also be held in person in Pittsburgh. And I'm sure there will also be virtual capabilities there as well. The last note is that the conference hotels are going to be the Westin and the Omni in Pittsburgh. The board will be at the Westin, and then we're going to split staff between the Westin and the Omni. I don't have any further information, but as soon as it becomes available, I'll share that. And I also want to encourage everyone that if you are going to attend in person, to register within the ICC block, as it does help the organization and supports the conference. That's all I have, Chief. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Carl. I did have a conversation with Carl this week regarding upcoming elections. We don't have any positions per se that are going to be up for election at the upcoming ABM. Our open spaces will be NASFM MOU seats. All of our ICC representatives are currently in positions that are not up for election. So there will be elections held for the other membership councils. Our new NASFM members will be going through a process of confirmation more so. But Carl will talk about our upcoming election, because we do have one seat that is up for election, but it's going to be done out of cycle. So that will come after our next ongoing business issue, which is honorary member nominations. I did check with Carl because I had not seen a call for honorary members yet. Carl did check with Carla Higgs, and we found out this morning that that call has already gone out, has already closed, but they didn't receive very many nominations at all. And I believe it's because I don't know that it ever actually went out publicly to where it was advertised. So we are still intent on putting in a name for honorary membership for the upcoming cycle to be considered. If you have somebody that you would like to be considered, please put that name forward to me as soon as possible. If not, I will select a name and do an application myself on behalf of FSMC to continue our process of putting a name forward every year. But I believe that from what I heard from Carl, they're considering opening it back up again because of the lack of exposure that they got the first time, and which will put us in line there. We did get our application in for the Robert W. Gain Award, and that was accepted. So the ICC Awards Committee will do their thing in reviewing that applicant there, and then we'll await to see the decision that's made for the ABM in Pittsburgh on who that recipient will be. So that will be the second recipient of the Gain Award, with last year's awardee Lee Wheeler being the first since we returned the name Robert W. Gain to the award itself. So if you have an honorary member name, please send it to me ASAP. On to item number B. Carl, this one's got your name on it. Governing Committee vacancy update.
Yep, so to give the governing committee and the interested parties an update, we advertised for an open seat. It's an ICC seat on the Fire Service Membership Council Governing Committee. That seat was vacated about 3/4 of the way through the year last year. And when Chief Metz was promoted to chair, we decided to take action on that rather than wait for the kind of the annual cycle to do the election. So as Chief Metz mentioned, we're doing an off-cycle election. Our charter requires us to do a 30-day advertisement or announcement of that seat. That was sent out at the time of our meeting last month, and the application period closes tomorrow, April 23rd. So far, we have received 2 applications, and I would request that Chief Metz convene a meeting of the nominating committee to consider those applications. And for folks in the audience today that are ICC members and are interested in applying, you do have one more day, but the clock is ticking. So if you would like to apply, please just put your name and your email address in the chat, and I will be glad to send you or resend you the information that went out so that you can apply for the open position. And we should have that teed up to be able to take a vote of the governing committee for that seat at next month's meeting.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, so we look forward to seeing that close. I'm going to ask that Mike Desrochers convene the nominating committee. We've already talked to Mike about the need to do that. So that will happen officially once the application period closes. And Mike will begin his work to review applications and make a recommendation from the nominating committee for the membership council to consider on the next elected member representing the ICC MOU positions to occur hopefully at the next meeting. With that, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 20th. This was the one where we did ask everybody, since we aren't going to have an extended meeting like we normally would have in the spring and code hearings, on availability either this month or next month for an extended meeting to have more in-depth discussion on some topics and issues. The information we got back on the doodle poll was that next month was going to work better for most people. So we'd like you to put it on your calendar now, but we will probably do, anywhere from 2.5 to a 3-hour meeting on, it was going to be Thursday, May 20th. Right now, our regular start time at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. We will go through and won't be limited by time, and we'll have a lot more discussions with our work groups on some of the stuff they're working on. And by then, we'll also be able to have some reports back from code change proposals where the committee took some of these issues, and anything that Fire Service Membership Council should be concerned or not concerned about as we move into public comment hearings in the fall. So there'll be a lot of stuff for us to discuss, and I look forward to having that extended meeting. We did not have one in the fall of last year, so it's going to be good to have a little bit more time to talk, and then obviously look forward to having an extended in-person meeting for the first time in 2 years this fall in Pittsburgh in September. So look for that email invite coming out from Carl shortly. Let's see here. Item number 9, questions and comments from the audience. We've got a good amount of people that turned out for this month's meeting. Anything for the good of the order, things that our non-governing committee members would like us to be aware of, or even governing committee members? Okay, hearing none. Kelly, do you want to give us a brief overview of your experience serving on that committee virtually, since you weren't in person, on how that worked for you?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So from a committee member standpoint, it was very interesting. There was probably some good sides and not so good sides. The good sides is I got to sit in my own very comfortable chair and not have to be subjected to sitting in a conference room and wear out my rear end in the process of an unpadded seat. But other than that, I would say that it took a little bit longer than maybe what we expected due to the way it is particularly set up. Kudos to Mike Pfeiffer in making it happen, because the whole idea of having virtual committee members was really not a point of consideration at the point that we were appointed on the committee. And then once COVID hit and this became an issue, they had to make a decision as to whether or not committee members could participate virtually or whether or not they had to be replaced to be able to only do people in person. So kudos to ICC for making virtual happen for the committee members. And it was a long 3.5, 4 days, I have to admit. When you're on the committee, you don't have the ability to break away necessarily. You have your time breaks, unlike being out in the audience. You know, you can walk in and out as you're at your leisure. So you really got to stay tuned in for your commitment to that committee. And but it worked out. And so altogether, it was a very positive experience. I gotta say that I like it better being on the other side than I like being a committee member. And I'll say that because as a committee member, I think you're a little bit limited as to your ability to debate points with opponents and proponents. All you can do is ask a question to identify a point, but you don't get to go back and forth. Whereas if you're on the committee, on the opponent side, you have the ability to rebut and re-rebut those points as necessary. I find that to be a little bit better, but then again, you get to hear the whole story or the whole proposal and then make your decision on how you want to vote. And that's powerful in itself. So I was grateful for the opportunity. I enjoyed it. I would recommend anybody else, whoever wanted to do this, to put their hat in the ring and do it. I think it's more fun when we're all together. I think there are some inherent issues that you get to do when you're all together that you cannot do virtually. For instance, the back of the room is a very powerful place when you're doing it in person to person. There's a lot of horse trading going on. There's a lot of tactical considerations on how something is brought forward to the committee to hear. And you don't have that ability to do that as well in a virtual sense. So we made it work. It's working out. We're getting better. The more committees are heard and learning from the earlier ones. And they're making time up because of their experience seeing what happened. And so as we go down the road to finally get to the fire code, I think the fire code might run almost on the same kind of schedule it would run in person, but those same limitations will still be in place. So that's my 2 cents on my participation, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you for the oversight and or insight, sorry, Kelly, from the virtual side. Mark, you attended in person as a committee member. Anything different from somebody that was actually in the room?
No, that's right, Randy. I did attend in person, and I have a lot of the same things to say as Kelly did. I sure missed meeting in person and a lot of the networking and side conversations that go on. That's where I feel like I learned the most, I think. But the one observation I had in being in the room is I felt like we walked on the virtual committee members a lot, with the inherent delays. And you're kind of always taught on the code committees, don't let there be dead air time, get the motions out as quick as you can and keep it running. We were trying to do that as committee members in person, and it wasn't giving our virtual members a chance to get their voice heard. So
that's a great point, Mark.
Yeah, it's something I'd add. And
I was just going to mention, there's just for anybody else who might be on the committee, if you're virtual, there's about a 3 to 4 second delay between the time you decide to move a motion and the time that it's actually heard by the chair. So let me just, one point of advice, it would be if you're a virtual committee member and you really want to be the one to lead the motion, you almost have to speak it 2 or 3 seconds before the committee chair actually calls for it. So when he begins or she begins speaking to call for the motion, at that point, start talking to make the motion. Because if you don't and you wait for them to finish the sentence, that by that 3 or 4 seconds go by, that that chairman will already pick somebody who has decided to speak in person. And that's where a lot of that happened. And I noticed it heavily in the IBCG. I didn't notice it quite as heavily in IBCE or FS. But again, it's a learning process for those who are participating. Great point, Mark.
Yeah, I think by day 3 or 4, we were figuring it out and trying to give our virtual members a chance to jump in there. So it worked better. We got better at it. But my only other advice, if you're going in person, take a jacket.
Yeah, I think Mark did get snow, didn't you, on one day there?
I left the day before. I just meant take a jacket for the room. It was chilly.
Oh, for the room. Good point there. Yeah, the one thing that I've noticed participating for 12 days is it's very different. I know the members of the committee can see the person that's providing the testimony, but those of us that are watching the code hearings aren't able to see the speakers that are providing testimony. And that, for me, changes the dynamic of being in the room and seeing the individuals and understanding who some of the major players are. it was very different in that way.
The virtual committee members cannot see them either. Only the ones that are in the room can see.
Oh, okay. That's an
Well, that's
interesting point.
another point there. And it makes it difficult too. I mean, if you're a proponent, one of the things you read is the committee as you're giving testimony. Hopefully you're trying to read the committee. That became kind of problematic depending on how the camera angles were being used. Sometimes you're just focusing on the moderator. Well, I don't want to see the moderator. I want to see the committee members. And if they're yawning and rolling their eyes, well, guess what? My point's not being well made. Versus they look engaged and I, can go down that route. But that's beside the point. I just want to let you know that as a virtual member, you don't get to see the people who are making the proposal.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, we can say that we've done it. We've done virtual. We hope that everybody that I've talked to pretty much has said we hope to go back to in-person code hearings in the future. There may be a place for some virtual involvement, but I think most of the people that have been heavily involved over time have all agreed that doing code hearings in a virtual setting at 100% level is not something that we as the membership would recommend, because it just is not as conducive in the current technology era, which is hard to believe. So I look forward to experiencing that next week, and we'll report back. Hopefully we've got all the bugs worked out and fire code does go last. So they could keep us there indefinitely if we seem to go long on some of these things here. So I will report back next month on my experience as well. Anything else for the good of the order? Comments
Mr.
from
Chair,
anybody?
I was just wondering, and Kelly divulged those maps on the side of his desk there. It looks like Texas is moving into those red areas and hostile take over the country.
Texas always is trying to take over the country, Coy. You know that. Very good. Without any other good of the order items, I will close the meeting. Thank you all for joining us this month. I look forward to seeing you all in May, and look for the extended meeting notice that we're going to have. Do I have a motion and a second for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks, Randy.